You're listening to the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and the following program is suitable for all audiences.
Paxton for three! Yeah! Yeah!
In 1993, when Chicago Bulls guard John Paxson sunk the series-winning shot in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, Mark Shanowski was there reporting. In 1988, when Michael Jordan beat Dominique Wilkins in what is considered the greatest, most controversial slam dunk duel of all time, David Schuster was there reporting.
What kind of expectations do you set for yourself individually going into year 3?
In 2010, when Derrick Rose said,
"Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why. Why can't I do that?"
It was Mark Shanowski who asked the question.
It is my distinct honor to present the 2010-2011 NBA Most Valuable Player Award to Derrick Rose of the Chicago Bulls.
In 2011, when Rose accepted the Most Valuable Player Award to become the youngest MVP in the history of the league, David Schuster was there reporting. Shanowski, Schuster, two of Chicago's most accomplished NBA reporters. This is Sharpshooters.
And welcome into a very, and I do mean very, special edition of Sharpshooters. And the reason we're doing this special edition, along with Mark Shanowski, I'm David Schuster, is, of course, the Bulls have a new head coach. And, Mark, I'm going to say right up front, I'm really surprised by this, but Billy Donovan is the new head coach of the Chicago Bulls. Your thoughts?
Completely blown away, David. You know, I'm working at WGN Radio tonight doing White Sox pre and post, and I just finished the pregame show. My producer walks in and he says, "What do you think about Billy Donovan?" I'm like, "Billy Donovan's a great coach." And he goes, "No, the Bulls just hired Billy Donovan." And I almost fell out of my chair. You know, we've talked about it on past shows. We kind of thought that they were going to go through the pool of assistant coaches because of the financial constraints, because of all the revenue that was lost during the pandemic and a number of other factors, that they would probably go the assistant route. There are a number of top names who are out there: Mike D'Antoni, Billy Donovan, Kenny Atkinson, and really when you look at what Billy's accomplished both at University of Florida and with the Oklahoma City Thunder, 5 straight winning seasons, taking them to the Western Conference Finals, I don't think you could really come up with a better option out there for a guy that's had success at the college and pro level, who's developed young players, who's won in the NBA. It's a home run hire. Not only has Donovan got the track record, but it also shows that the Bulls organization is committed to winning. They're giving Arturas Karnisovas the financial freedom to make whatever moves he feels are necessary to accomplish that, and it just signals a brand new direction for where this organization is going. I'm really excited about the hire.
And not only am I excited, but again, I'm caught off guard by this. I mean, you know, when Billy Donovan's name became available when he was let go, or it was mutual parting of the ways with Oklahoma City, we both looked at each other and said, well, that would be a great hire, but very little chance of that. Listen, he had other opportunities around the league. He could have gone to Indiana. He could have gone to Philadelphia. He could have gone to New Orleans and certainly paired up with Zion Williamson. That's the best player of probably the teams that we mentioned. Philadelphia's got a couple of really good players too. But what it tells me more than anything else, Mark, two things. First of all, Arturas Karnisovas, along with the Reinsdorf hierarchy, they mean business, like you said, and this is a whole new chapter. And on top of even that, I'm looking a year plus down the road. I think Billy Donovan will be a much better draw for free agents should the Bulls go that route, which I'm sure they will, not this coming season, but the following season. And Billy Donovan is more attractive to some free agents than, let's say, a Wes Unseld Jr. or an Ime Udoka. And so I think, you know, the Bulls made a very strategic move here. I'm sure he also knocked their socks off in any kind of interview that he might have had with them. And I'll give this to Arturas Karnisovas. Right now, he's fooling a lot of people with a lot of things that he's doing. He did get rid of Jim Boylan, or I should say he fired Jim Boylan, but he waited until the last minute. A lot of people were caught off guard, not the fact that they fired him. A lot of people thought, you know, that the Reinsdorfs would bail Boylan out, and Karnisovas said no. A lot of people thought that Karnisovas would go after an assistant coach, like we said, with a Wes Unseld Jr. or Ime Udoka. But here he is. He makes the big hire, and I just think it's a fantastic hire on his part.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really stands out above and beyond what you think about Billy Donovan as a head coach. I mean, obviously, his record was very good, over a 60% winning percentage during his time at Oklahoma City, took the team to the conference finals. Some people will say, yeah, but they had a 3-1 lead over the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 conference finals and blew that. And you know, that some of the blame needs to go to the coaching staff for that. But when you consider the job he did this year, of course, they traded away Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and he got that team into the playoffs, almost beat the Houston Rockets in the opening round playoff round, put together a roster that was really kind of an odd mix of players, with Chris Paul coming in where people weren't sure if he was even going to be happy being in Oklahoma City. Most people assumed he'd be traded to a different team before the year was out. You know, they had Danilo Gallinari and Steven Adams and kind of an odd mix of players, but yet he was able to take that team to a playoff appearance and really overachieve what most people thought. But getting back to your point about Karnisovas, I think what this shows is this isn't just a guy that was an assistant, was a GM in Denver working under Tim Connolly. He was a guy that has a strong mindset, a strong view on how he wants to put together a winning organization, and he has clout around the league. When Arturis went after Billy Donovan, we saw he was available, he was able to land a guy who had other opportunities, like you mentioned, an attractive New Orleans roster with Zion Williamson in that group, a Philadelphia team that's potentially ready to contend. He chose the Bulls, and it really shows the job that Karnisovas did in selling him on what the roster looks like now and potentially what it can look like in a year or two. We saw the reaction from Bradley Beal, who played for Billy Donovan in Florida. He just tweeted out yes, and Bradley Beal has a player option after next season. So, you know, might he be the guy that would be interested in coming to Chicago? It just opens so many doors, and just I think should really get the fan base fired up that this organization is headed in the right direction.
Yeah, and, you know, you can attach a lot of adjectives to Billy Donovan, of course. He's 55 years old, but the one adjective that really stands out, he's a winner, as you mentioned, Mark. A .608 winning percentage in his 5 seasons in the NBA, all 5 seasons in the playoffs, which is pretty remarkable for a first-year coach in his first 5 years taking his team to the playoffs. You know, back-to-back national titles in Florida, 2007 and 2008. And, you know, he's the rare, and I do mean rare, college coach who wins at the pro level. The only other person who I can think of who's had success going from college to the pros is Brad Stevens. Otherwise, you know, the list is just littered with, you know, big names who have failed, and I'm just going to run them all down. All these guys were successful college coaches who just bottomed out in the NBA, including big-time names like Rick Pitino, John Calipari. John Beilein hardly made it. Well, he didn't make it through one season after being successful at Michigan and fell on his face for a lot of reasons in Cleveland. Fred Hoiberg, unfortunately, a lot of people here in Chicago know about that. Mike Montgomery with Golden State, Leonard Hamilton with Washington, Lon Kruger going a little bit further back, Tim Floyd. Oh, yeah, you know, I'm really going to have nightmares.
Yeah, I was wondering when you get to Tim Floyd.
And then PJ Carlesimo. These are guys who all had successful college coaching careers but couldn't cut it in the NBA. And like I said, other than Brad Stevens, and Billy Donovan's got a higher winning percentage, much more than Brad Stevens does in the NBA. You know, so kudos to the Bulls, kudos to Billy Donovan, and kudos to the city of Chicago. And you know what? The next thing that everybody's going to start thinking is, all right, well, what other players might want to join Billy Donovan? And you know, and I'm sure it's already crossed your mind, Joakim Noah, you know, even though he doesn't have much left in the tank at this point, I could easily see him come back to the Bulls and, you know, in a part-time playing capacity, because Billy Donovan and Joakim Noah were super close at the University of Florida and still have remained close friends even after both went into the NBA.
Well, of course, Joakim has kept an excellent relationship with the Reinsdorf family, so I think they would be happy to bring him back in a mentor role to help some of the young guys, and I think he would be perfect in that. And our buddy Casey Johnson already posted on Twitter that he talked with Joakim already, and Joakim had a rave review saying they got a great coach, a winner, and that he considers Billy Donovan to be family after playing on 2 national championship teams with the Gators. So, yeah, I think Joakim would be a great fit for this team in that mentor role, and what he could give you on the court really would just be gravy. I think that would be a perfect step to try to, you know, take advantage of this Donovan hire and really round out the roster with a first-class vet like Joakim.
You know, what we're going to really have to do here over the next couple of days is not look at the free agency list that's going into this upcoming season, but really the one for the following season. And it's supposed to be an incredible free agency class, you know, highlighted, of course, by Giannis up in Milwaukee. But, you know, everything in the NBA is all about relationships. And I'll be interested to learn more so what the relationship with Billy Donovan and Arturas Karnisovas, obviously Karnisovas in the Western Conference and Billy Donovan also at Oklahoma City. They're well aware of each other, and who knows, they might have had a closer relationship than either one of us even know, you know, at this time. But Billy Donovan, I'm sure, also has had a close relationship with other players around the NBA. And like I said, I don't think there's any question in my mind that Billy Donovan will help the Bulls, potentially, of course, land a free agent when the time is right and the Bulls have a lot more money. It's not going to be this upcoming season, but it definitely will be the season after this one. So keep your eyes on that one as well.
Yeah, well, some people are saying that 2021 free agent class could potentially be the best one ever, although it will feature a lot of older players, a lot of them who have player options that may or may not be part of that class. LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George all have opt-out possibilities. You know, they have player options that they can exercise and become free agents. I mentioned Bradley Beal also has a player option after next year. And I believe Drew Holiday's on that list. There's a lot of big names that are going to be available in the summer of 2021. And obviously the most important thing now is to show some growth. The Bulls have to show that these young players are not just guys that are high upside people. They're guys that can actually win on the basketball court. You know, Zach LaVine has never had a winning season as a professional, and he needs to show that he can be part of a winning group here in Chicago. And I think the other thing that this move indicates is that I think a lot of people assumed that Arturas Karnisovas would kind of take a wait-and-see approach on the 2020-21 campaign, that he would try to evaluate the roster, see what kind of talent he had, and maybe wait to make any major moves until next summer. Well, if he goes out and attracts the top coach available in Billy Donovan, I don't see any reason why he couldn't also consider a possibility of making a big trade right away with a big-name coach like Billy Donovan to see if they can't get to the playoffs next season. So don't be surprised if that number 4 draft pick might be in play, as Arturas and Billy Donovan talked about a partnership, not just a GM-coach relationship. They talked about a partnership, sharing a vision, and how they could bring a winning organization to Chicago. And there may be some more big moves roster-wise coming up before the next season begins.
Yeah, and one final thought also, Mark, you know, we talked about how the Bulls are, you know, getting all the players into the Advocate Center, and they're going to have organized workouts over the next couple of weeks. And we looked at each other and thought, well, gee, don't you really have to have a coach for that? And, you know, we know that they have their 2 assistant coaches, and, you know, they could certainly lead the way, but it would really be a mistake on both our parts, we thought, that they don't have a head coach there who's really, you know, should be there, to be perfectly blunt, and now they do. Billy Donovan will be introduced to the media. You know, I'm sure it'll be a virtual press conference. There's no announcement when that'll be. I would imagine it'll be in the next day, 2 or 3 maximum. So we'll look forward to that, and we'll certainly have his thoughts on our upcoming Sharpshooters podcast. But again, overall, from a fan standpoint, from a media standpoint, I think this is a home run hit by the Chicago Bulls, and congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, I think what it says to the fan base is the Bulls organization is not messing around anymore. They are 100% committed to putting a contending team in the city of Chicago. They're willing to give Arturas Karnisovas total freedom in making the financial decisions he needs to do to accomplish that fact. And whether it comes to hiring a staff for Billy Donovan, I don't think they're going to tell him you have to keep Chris Fleming and Roy Rogers, who have 2 more years left on their contracts. If Billy Donovan wants to go in a different direction with his staff, he'll have the freedom to do that. And I think if you're a Bulls fan, you should really be excited about what the future could hold in Chicago, because from bringing in an attractive, highly paid head coach like Billy Donovan to the free agent possibilities that may open up down the road, I think this signals that there could be some very exciting times ahead for basketball fans in Chicago. And I know, David, you and I are very fired up about it.
100% on that, Mark, and we should let all our listeners know that even though normally we only do once-a-week podcasts, you know, in regards to the Chicago Bulls, NBA, and college basketball hoops in general, that when something like this happens, we will jump on it immediately, because that's what our role is going forward, and we're just more than happy to talk about the newest acquisition by the Chicago Bulls. That's Billy Donovan. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with more Sharpshooters, but we wanted to get this in to you as quick as possible, and we're happy that we did. So take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.